So 100 pitchers in 50 minutes. Okay, so welcome to PitchCon. Thank you so much for being here. We're aiming to raise $10,000 to combat ALS, and use that QR code down there. We're there we go, over there. Okay, it's gonna be across all the panels. Thank you so much, Josh Sperry, to making all of these. They are fantastic. I'm gonna go rambling again. All right, this is what I do. The SPs that we do are gonna be in order of NFBC ADP as of January 28th. Okay. So that is the order this year. It's going to make it pretty easy. My top 400 starting pitchers will be coming out in February. I'm aiming for February 11th. Honestly, I'm behind right now. I've got like halfway through all the rotations. All right. So I've been behind with a lot of things, as you'll see what those things are. And it essentially means that I am that I need to get more time. Okay, guys, I just had a really bad thought that I forgot to do something, and it's totally fine. So get PL Pro to read those full rotation breakdowns early. Once I put out the top 400, all of them will be free for everybody. That's the full intent. But if you want early access to my blurbs and everything, okay. All right, so please get PL Pro though. Like seriously. This is going to be 50 minutes. Where are the trumpets? I don't know if I have trumpets today. I can't do it. So we're going to start the clock, guys. Are we ready? Okay. Oh, God. Here we go. Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is the SP number 2 for me, not the SP number 1. Incredible fastball. Obviously, the sprinkler is great, but I worry about the secondary, the slider. It's not developing as well as I want it to, and I do wonder if that sprinkler is also going to be as absurdly good again. There's also the worry that we see a lot of times that guys, essentially in their sophomore season, especially these young ones who throw really hard, are the season that they get hurt. So something to be considerate about with Skeens. Is he really that workhorse quite yet? And I actually think that Tarek Skubal is the one that actually is the workhorse. I think he's made for this. He has more of a well-rounded repertoire because it is a four-seamer that isn't actually that swinging strike rate pitch, but it is a changeup that is just so elite against right-handers, and the four-seamer is great. All the good stuff that you want, but just isn't a swing strike rate pitch. But the sinker is absurdly effective. Oh my gosh, it destroys the left-handers, and then you can even see improvement on the slider too. So there's a more well-rounded pitcher in Tarek Skubal, which makes me a little bit better taking him. Zach Wheeler also is that workhorse. Obviously, it's just so safe, and that's why he's going to be my SP number 4, not my SP number 3. Actually, my SP number 3 is not in the first 4. Because that's Logan Gilbert, which actually really surprised me. Logan Gilbert, it's a four-seamer that he doesn't quite command well enough yet, is a slider that he's so good with. It's a PLV that is elite. It's because he just has the best extension, and he just kept it down last year. That's great. Ultra reliance on it. And he needs something else with the four-seamer, because the four-seamer isn't always there. He does benefit massively from Seattle's anti-cores effect. And I do think that he's getting overdrafted at the moment. I like Logan Gilbert, but I think last season is just an anomaly, and that was wild. And I still question if he can really improve. We have Garrett Crochet, who's my very clear SP3. He might even be my SP1, but when all is said and done, because I think his skill set is better than Paul Skeens, is better than Tarek Skubal. Why? Because his four-seamer and cutter and sinker are just absurd. They perform better, and he commands them better, and it just gets endless strikes in the zone. I think Skeens has worse command than Garrett Crochet. This added sinker is just even better against left-handers. I just think those 3 pitches are just too dang good. He's in a good situation now in Boston. I think he's going to actually be able to limit some home runs going against Fenway that might actually be gone otherwise, which is going to even help him more. You have Chris Sale. Chris Sale is not my SB6. I think that it was an anomaly of a season last year. I think when it comes to health risks, you have to really understand that Chris Sale should not have pitched the entire year. In fact, he actually didn't even finish the entire year. He was hurt. he finally got up to him. You had some of the best command I've ever seen from him, though. However, it is not like 97 mile per hour, Chris Sale. It's still 95, 96 at times. And I think that fastball is going to get worse in this upcoming year. I think the changeup isn't quite as elite as it used to be either. So I think it's going to be very good, but I don't think that's so good. And why would you go after him instead of Jacob deGrom, who is super healthy? And, well, not super healthy. He is as healthy as he's been in a very long time. And if you forgot, before 2021, deGrom was a workhorse. he would actually go consistent starts. He would go and flirt with 200 innings and go over 170 constantly and pitched all of 2020 and everything like that. And then he had elbow problems. And then that made him miss a lot of time. There was one other larger issue with injury, but now he is back with a healthy elbow. We've seen him at his velocity. He was absurdly good in September. It's not like we don't know he can't do it. So here he is. And I think especially at the beginning of the year, he's going to be cruising with it. I actually am very tempted to put him as my SP4, if you can believe it, above Zach Wheeler, but I'm probably going to have it a little bit lower. I just think the impact of him, especially in a 12-teamer, is Jacob deGrom plus the roster spot. And that is what's forgotten about a lot. There are a lot of guys on the Dodgers, for example, that 6 man, it's going to be spread out more when we talk about lower volume. But with deGrom, it's going to be every 5 days until he can't go. And then it's a roster spot that's going to be really good because you have so much depth of starting pitcher. I know I skipped Corbin Burns, okay? Corbin Burns, I actually really like for this year because his cutter came back in September. It returned to what it was actually more so than in previous years. He had lost a vertical break on it and he was getting too high up in the zone because he lost drop on it. It makes perfect sense. And then all of a sudden he gained 5-6 inches of it. I remember doing a podcast with Enosaurus in San Francisco. It's pointing, look at this. Oh my gosh, it's back. And it was in September. Much better results with it. He did struggle a little bit at the end, but I think this is a better and improved cutter from last season. That's going to really help in Arizona. I think it's a good signing for him. That's a very good situation pitching in Arizona. We've seen the ramifications, not the ramifications, the impact on Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen with balls in play previously. I think he's going to have a really good season in Arizona. Very safe there. George Kirby drafted way too high. His slider command is not good. Everyone keeps talking about the command being so good for George Kirby. It isn't. I'm sorry. It isn't. It is very good control. He's able to put it generally where he wants in an area, but it's not precision, especially with the slider. It is not that kind of like dotted down and away slider pitch. And I think that messes him up. Also, the four-seamer is not elite. I don't care what you tell me. It is not elite. Yes, highest swing strike rate. Also, highest swing rate. It has a 10% called strike rate. That pitch gets hit hard. And the impact of Seattle, once again, is good. And it's a high floor for George Kirby. But this idea that he is a 25 to 30% strikeout rate pitcher is not quite there. And I don't think he's going to be a sub-3 ERA pitch. I think the four-seamer just gets tagged too often. He needs to add something else. And I still haven't seen that. Cole Reagans, yo, what's up? Wow, he's getting drafted 10th? Oh, boy. All right. I don't know if I'm going to have Cole Reagans this year. And I think it's because he became too hittable. His slider and his cutter took a step back last year, especially with the cutter. That really disappointed me. The command of it wasn't as good, which made him a lot of two-pitch with four-seamer changeup. The good thing is that the changeup is just so dang good. Also, the slider against lefties wasn't very consistent. The strike rate was lower than it should be. He does toe the line very effectively. He does not give in, which is very nice. But it does concern me that he won't be like a sub-110 whip guy. The K's will be there, but there will be some fluctuation that is just a little annoying. And I think now that you guys all believe it, that's great. But I'm not going to really spend it on Cole Reagans, unfortunately. Maybe I will. We'll see. Blake Snell's 11th. I don't know. I go back and forth on this one. PLV loves him. We love that his command can be so good. His stuff is great. He always has a different way of figuring out how to get outs and like change his season. It's always really bad at first, and all of a sudden something changes. Last year was a curveball becoming strikes finally. Before that, it was a changeup waking up. He always seems like he's in flux. And I hate guys who are in flux, so I don't draft that. Dylan Cease. What's cool about Dylan Cease is that he improved upon one of his problems last year, which was strike rate against right-handers, actually left-handers with the slider. It did improve from a sub 60% rate to above 60. However, he still gets hit hard. It's really frustrating. And I think the cutter is a necessity for Dylan Cease. Otherwise, he's going to have those games, especially against lefties, where he allows 6 earned runs. Because it's just days where he does not have his slider ready to go and he has to throw more fastballs in the zone and easy to hit. He just does not have the pristine command to go inside with this cut action on that four-seamer. If he had a cutter, this would be the nullifying option, but he still hasn't learned that, and it's really annoying. So I'm not going to be drafting him 12th. I'm so sorry. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, I'm excited for. His four-seamer is not as elite as I thought it would be entering the season. It just doesn't have the vert and the absurd extension that you want to see. However, it's flat. It's like a 1.5 height adjusted VEA. So when he's able to go upstairs, things are cool. I believe he was stubborn to adapt that approach early last year. And then when he came back, the Dodgers like, please throw this upstairs. And I think he actually started to do it. And that's cool. I want to see more out of the cutter from him, the splitter and the curveball. The curveball, not as amazing as I want it to be. I think there's still some ironing out of the details for Yamamoto and Polish, but I think it's a very good situation. It's going to be 6-man though, and I just don't really want I don't want to go after Yamamoto because you're not going to have that volume ceiling, and there's still some questions about how good are you. Michael King though, I love. Everyone should be drafting Michael King, and the fact that he's 14th ADP is pretty incredible. Michael King is a guy that he has command, which is what you want. He has elite command, both sides of the plate. He's one of the rare guys in the league that throws front hip sinkers, has swing strike stuff. His changeup is great. His breakers are great. He's a potential 30% strikeout guy with a high volume. Like, you want the ones you won't drop, who go 6 innings and then are able to get strikeouts above 25%. That is Michael King. Like, he is that guy. Like, you should be getting Michael King everywhere. It's a great situation. Garrett Cole, I'm probably going to avoid because I think his fastball got worse last year. And I think that the slider cutter is not really the thing that that it used to be. I would be a little afraid drafting Garrett Cole this year. It just feels like he's going to be a little bit worse this year, especially with the whole elbow thing. And like, generally that means that you get TJ eventually. I just feel he's not the old Garrett Cole anymore. You watch him and you're not as confident. And it's just, why would I go for that when I have so many other starters? Pablo Lopez, obviously I'll always love. I think he has a phenomenal changeup and sweeper and fastball ability, four-seamer to get for control. There are some concerns about the precision of that four-seamer inside the zone at times. He lost his sweeper for a bit and then finally let it rip, and it was great again. The changeup can be there. It actually avoided, he lost it a little bit last year. There's a lot of potential for Pablo Lopez. And at 16, I'm actually a little surprised that he's as high as he is at the moment. I would have thought he would have been pushed to like 2025. At 16, it seems like it is a price that is expecting him to be that guy, which is fine. And I get it. I just don't think there's a ton of value at the moment at that pick. Framber Valdez, you saved your season with a curveball last year. It just became like the most ridiculous pitch. And I just don't understand how it was just so bad for so long. The first half of the season was like a 4+ ERA. You were so bad. You had such a good stretch for like 2 months and where you felt it again. What are you going to be? I don't know. And it drives me up the wall. I don't want to do it. I'm so sorry. You guys just do your Framber thing. It's fine. I showed Imanaga I'd much rather have. I think his four-seamer, despite not being a high swing strike rate pitch, is still a very good strike one that really sets up the splitter, especially to right-handers. And it's surprising to see actually that against lefties, it's more sweeper than it is splitter. The four-seamer does perform better though against left-handers to prevent hard contact. And I think it's just a really good situation. I do want to see one other offering though. I don't really think the sweeper is the pitch against right-handers. I wish there was a cutter or something else. Always a cutter, just something else to offer right-handers than the sweeper. But the four-seamer, even though it doesn't have as much vert maybe as it did very early on, maybe it's going close to 90 or so, it still has a lot of vert. It is still flat, and it's just generally a very good pitch. So we're cool with Shota Imanaga, even if I am slightly worried that there might be more injury risk in your second year as a Japanese pitcher. We've seen that a lot, but I think that's going to be good. I'm happy with it. Bryce Miller is a 19. My gosh, what? Okay. What? No, you can't do that. So bad on the road. He is learning a cutter, which is really cool. The four-seamer is a very good pitch, and it was very hard to hit last year, and that's awesome. He has good extension and everything like that. And I think the cutter should be amazing. And I did see that video, and I just want him to throw it like 20-25% of the time, because a four-seamer with that is everything that he needs. There was also a moment when he embraced his curveball at the end of last year, and then all of a sudden it went away. And I just don't think he's going to be a spin guy. That's just what he is. He is a four-seamer guy that needs a cutter. He needs to be the opposite of Garrett Crochet. I love it. 19 is taking way too much risk. Oh my gosh. Bailey Ober, way safer. No, he's going to have all those games of like 8 earned runs one day. No, he's not. That is such a small sample and ridiculousness. And Bailey Ober is a guy that has great extension, hits that four-seamer at the top, changeup and cutter off of it. They're just so hard to tell. One of the better right-handed changeups by PLV standards. The new cutter is amazing. I think it's a very safe play. I think you're going to like having Bailey Ober, 25% K rate, 3.5 ERA, 105 whip, like good team in the Twins. You're good. Aaron Nola, it's weird seeing him this low, but Aaron Nola should still be beneficial. I think I'm actually going to have him slightly lower than this as he's a Holly. He's not an ace anymore. He's a guy that's going to go like a 115 whip with a 3.6 ERA or so, and he's going to have a 25 to 30% K rate. Like, you're going to be super happy with it. Maybe you get 30%. Probably it's going to be actually like 24% K rate. It's going to be great. You're never going to drop him, but like, he's not going to be that stud anymore. It's just not the same it used to be. I love Spencer Schwellenbach though. He is a pitcher who has an, I'm way behind, aren't I? Oh my gosh. Spencer Schwellenbach as essentially all the things that you want. 5 pitches, lots of depth, swing strike rate stuff, throws hard. It's just the 4-seamer is very hittable, and the more that he throws it less, the better off he is. Hunter Green, I think, is getting overdrafted because the splitter is not a difference maker for him. Even though if you want to say the 4-seamer performed better because the splitter existed, I don't really believe that. I still think the 4-seamer got very lucky last year. To have a 0.5 home run per 9 in Cincinnati is ridiculous. I think he's the same guy he always was. Luis Castillo, I don't really want to find myself drafting because I think he gets worse before he gets better. I also wonder how Seattle, and this is for all Seattle pitchers, if that's going to change a lot, if they are going to change their stadium to at all to make sure it's not just such an extreme pitcher's park. But Luis Castillo's fastball velocity has gone down. He really needs to find that changeup again that he used to have. And it's just not quite the same guy they used to be. Tanner Bybee, I've warmed up to a little bit because I don't really like his fastball that much. And I don't think he has an amazing overall command, but it all just kind of works. He gets his slider cooking and his cutter cooking and his changeup, and he just kind of is a volume guy that is effective, and that's cool. Max Fried, I think, is getting undervalued because there's a lot of fear about his elbow. And obviously, go check out that presentation later today with Stephen Lyman. It's going to be a podcast where we review every single injured pitcher and hitter for this coming year, including Max Fried. But it is a very good situation in New York. He is a command guy. He is someone who is just going to grind, completely going to be a low whip, going to be a good ERA guy, going to get a lot of wins. I think Max Fried is great and should be drafted everywhere. Logan Webb's getting way overdrafted. He did not find his changeup last year, and he tried to figure out other things. And that's not fun. He's always going to be a high whip guy. He should not be a 25% strikeout guy. He should be more like 20%. Yes, volume is there. Yes, he's going to get some wins, but like Logan Webb, I think it will bring you down in whip and more than you like and not give you the strikeouts that you want. And the ERA is questionable. The changeup is weird right now. Joe Ryan should be drafted higher. I think people are worried about the injury he had at the end of last year, but apparently he's 100% healthy, should not be affected moving forward. His fastball improved once again last year, and him finding that slider slash splitter to complement is a process. Yes, he will allow some home runs. Yes, he'll have a more elevated ERA than we want, but the whip will be great. And I think people do not understand how effective having a lower whip is. Tons of strikeouts as well. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. Freddie Peralta is very strange because his IVB went way down as the year went on. His extension lowered as well. His arm angle went up too. It's all very weird. And Freddie Peralta, after being a guy that was always an injury problem, became not one, but also throws crossbody and always has these weird Professor Chaos moments where it's just, he doesn't know where it's going. I don't want to touch it. He's a headache. I don't want it. Tyler Glasnow, he's getting drafted too low. He even said that he's healthy. He's been given a clean bill of health. You know that you're going to get value when he pitches. That's the thing about it. And yeah, maybe it's 6 innings. Maybe it's only capped at 150 innings. Fine. It is so good when he does pitch. And if he gets hurt, okay, you replace it. It's all right. So it's an absolute gem of a situation, especially in 12-teamers. I think he's getting underdrafted. It's a beautiful situation. Hunter Brown, wow, 31. Hunter Brown has a change from a slider to a cutter against lefties in the second half of last year, and a much better season because of it. But the one thing I don't like is he doesn't have that one dominant pitch. The 4-seamer quite isn't there yet. And I want to draft Hunter Brown. I can't take him at 31 though. I think there's too much risk in Hunter Brown. There's still opportunity for him just to be meh and not really worthwhile, kind of like a hipster almost. And I just don't really want him to. I just don't really. At 31, you're banking him to take significant growth, and that's not there because you have so many guys like Sonny Gray who just had like a 30% strikeout rate. And yes, that's going to fluctuate a little bit too when it gets to the field, the breaking balls, the breakers. But yeah, you're going to know that every single time Sonny Gray is healthy and pitching, you're going to want him on your team. It's just going to be more locked value. Grayson Rodriguez is getting way underdrafted too. Why? Because he's so stupid close to being amazing. He has elite extension and throws super hard. And really the problem is that he doesn't throw a cutter. I know, cutter, whatever. But what I realized and what we've seen is that guys with elite extension and velocity should not have big velocity gaps. Look at Garrett Crochet, the prime example of this, where he has a cutter that is under slightly in the velocity, not a big one. And when he had a big one with a slider, it wasn't as effective. Grayson Rodriguez does not have the velocity band of about 5-mile-per-hour difference right now. He has it at 10 and 15. And what I think he needs is just that cutter to supplement the four-seamer, and then it will get hit far less, and he'll have a fantastic year. That's literally that easy. Shane McClanahan, I did not forget about you. Shane McClanahan, I am lowering a little bit on my ranks. I know I had him really high in the top 10 before, and I've seen quotes, of course, at top one. He's topped out at 150 now and probably be geared up a little bit to start. However, I'm still very much in on Shane McClanahan. I don't see a reason why he won't be as amazing as before. The fact that he hasn't pitched in September yet, that he didn't pitch in September, we don't know quite how good he is now. Say like DeGrom and Alcantara, we've at least seen them throwing 99. We haven't seen from McClanahan. Does ding him a little bit more. I'm probably going to have him in my 20s, as I think that y'all forget how good he is with his elite changeup, 2 great breaking balls, and throwing 97. Should also throw a sinker against lefties. Zach Gallen, I'm going to be lower on this than Zach Gallen. I know that a lot of people are thinking, he's just a safe thing, all this stuff. Sure. But he's weird, and I don't like weird. Death ball, the true death ball, curveball down. When he throws called strikes low with the four-seamer, that's what works. Everything's just low. But he's been inconsistent with his four-seamer command, and I think things are just getting worse for him. Justin Steele, I'm so in. Guys, you got to be more in on Justin Steele. He has 4 pitches, not 2, 4. It's 2 types of four-seamers and 2 types of sliders. He is so good at limiting hard contact. His ICR is in the low 30s, 31, 32%. Oh my gosh. It's insane. He is a low whip guy. He has also had 25% strikeout potential. I want Justin Steele everywhere this year. It's wild, but this is how I feel. Carlos Rodon, also the injury stuff, we're fine. The elbow is the one thing that is, I think, bringing down his value that he had at the end of last year, but it was a 2-week miss. It wasn't like he was going to shut down for the rest of the year. He literally came back. If it was actually a problem, he would have been shut down. Carlos Rodon, I like. I think it might be still a little too cherry bomb-esque for me to jump at this. But I do like the fact that he explored more options with his arsenal to end the year last year. And with Carlos Rodon, it's more about, hey, is the changeup going to actually be a consistent thing as a lefty or not? Are you going to be able to get that slider for strikes and avoid guys from sitting on the fastball? Hopefully he can, but he is a little bit more volatile than I want him to be. Brian Wu, I love Brian Wu. I also hate his injury history. I'm so torn about this one, and I think he's going to get overdrafted for me to go for. I don't feel comfortable taking Brian Wu as my SP2 or 3, just because there's so many others that I think are going to be more secure for the year than Brian Wu, who's gone through so much so far. However, his skill set, if he does go 180 innings, I would consider Brian Wu in my top 15. That's just kind of what, top 10. Like, his four-seamer sinker is such a good mix, and I feel like he's going to add one more thing that's going to really complement it, and it's just amazing. Jack Flaherty's getting overdrafted. So sorry, guys. But Jack Flaherty, I don't know where he's going to go. I think it's probably messing him up already. And he's a very much of a rhythm guy. He's someone who had such absurd precision with his slider and his curveball down that it masked the fact that he doesn't have a good fastball. And I think that is something that's going to catch up with him. We saw it in the playoffs. I don't want to touch this. I think that he's just getting overdrafted. Kodai Senga, I'm very intrigued by, and I think, honestly, I'm in everywhere because he was like a top 20 for me entering last year. And then the injury is the only thing that was a setback. He has a four-seamer cutter splitter. The cutter is such a good nullifier to the bad command of the four-seamer that just makes guys miss all the time. And then he has a splitter that is one of the better ones out there that goes fork. You have Jared Jones. I don't know what I'm going to do with Jared Jones. I think that he's going to be a top 10 guy. I also think that he's going to be a hipster. His command was so bad in the second half of last year. Maybe he was just fatigued. He maybe wasn't fully healthy from the lat injury. But Jared Jones, he's 2-pitch, and it's such a good four-seamer. It's such a good slider. It's not efficient enough yet. And the thing is, I don't see him quite going 6 innings consistently yet. He needs something else. And that's the problem with Jared Jones, is that it's almost there. He's so tantalizing. But when you have guys like Kodai Senga, like, why would you take Jared Jones? You have the value. You have the thing. You do not need to get the guy. You don't need to take the risk on this. Get all of this good value instead. Robbie Ray, though, I like this one too. I'd rather have Jared Jones. Robbie Ray is going to have those games where it's just like, whoop, never mind. He keeps figuring things out every single year. And I think we're going to see another good version of Robbie Ray. But he is a volatile one. I mean, it's really just that simple of you have the good slider, you have the four-seamer. Hopefully the sinker comes back more. I hope it works out well. Reynaldo Lopez, I am not interested in. What's so strange to me is that his slider was his number 2 pitch and had a sub 60% strike rate. He threw so many four-seamers in the zone. It was an absurd, like 70, 75% strike rate on his four-seamer. and he got away with it. And I don't think he will again. I think that's very, very weird. It was like the least heralded 2 ERA season from 130 innings that we've ever seen. And I'm questionable on it. I would like him on a team, obviously, but I'm very skeptical that he's anything close to what he is. Didn't you forget Shohei Ohtani? Oh yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Shohei Ohtani, well, he was the number 1 ADP. Okay, that's why he was off this list overall. Shohei Ohtani as a pitcher, I am just not going to go for. If he's as a pitcher, he won't be on the IL. And that's the problem. He won't be on the IL. It's going to take you a month of just a dead roster spot that you have to stash. And then we might see the Dodgers be like, you know what, this isn't really working. We're rushing this, et cetera, et cetera. I'm probably not going to go for it. I'm dropping him massively in my ranks because of this. I assume that he would just be starting out the gate. Everything would be fine. But the fact that he won't be makes it really, really tough. Oh, Sasaki. Yep. Sorry about that. He's actually SP like 15 right now. Sasaki, I'm actually also lowering on my ranks as well. I had him around like 15, 16. And I believe the extension, I've actually gotten word that maybe the extension isn't actually 7 feet, which is a little bit worse. Also, I do have the concerns, of course, about the elbow thing that he didn't get Tommy John for. 6-man rotation, big questions about command, getting situated. It's a season of having so many good starting pitching options that I'm going to go away from the questionable pitching options. And yes, Sandy Alcantara, whoops. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Sandy Alcantara, I love and I want to go for, and I think he's getting underdrafted right now. I can't put him inside my top 20 because his main value is going deep into games, and I know the Miami Marlins are going to limit him in some way, right? He's coming off of Tommy John. You don't see 200 innings or so from a guy like that. That said, he's throwing 99, and I feel like you're going to be effective when you start. So how far in the game is it going to go? I don't know. I hope they do it on pitches as opposed to innings, but I feel like he's going to be capped at like 150 innings. So that's the oh man, the anti-Dodgers bias is outrageous. Stop that, Kyle. Are we good? Okay, we're good. Okay. Kevin Gausman. Kevin Gausman's 44. What is this? Oh my gosh. I got to catch up here, by the way. I'm way behind. Actually, yeah, I'm only a little bit behind. Kevin Gausman is not that good. His 4-seamer still gets hit. The splitter was gone for a long time. Finally came back by the end, but like, no, you can't do this, guys. Do not go after Kevin Gausman. Yusei Kikuchi, I'm going to be lower on in my rankings. I see him more as a hipster. He's someone who needs to get into rhythm, especially with the 4-seamer and slider, and I don't trust the Angels to figure it out because he was going between changeup and curveball and slider and whatever, and he needed help. And the Angels are not going to do that for him. So I'm actually out there. I'm in on Ryan Pepiot. Amazing 4-seamer. Needs to get a little bit more precision on the slider and change up, be more dependable. There were games that he just only threw the 4-seamer, and that got him burned a bit. It is out of the Tampa Bay, and that is another thing with Shane McClanahan. Out of Tampa Bay means worse vert on your 4-seamers. It's going to be a big home run park for George Steinbrenner Field. So I'm questionable on Ryan Pepiot and Shane Baz, who are interestingly back and forth. I trust Shane Baz a little bit more because he does have better command than Ryan Pepiot. The curveball really stepped up for the slider, and there's a chance the slider does return, while the 4-seamer is still a very good pitch. So I think he's going to be more stable, especially after last year. He's going to be going every 5 days and being more of a stable asset, while Ryan Pepiot has a higher ceiling as far as stuff goes, but I think he's less efficient, and he's going to be more home run prone than Baz, which means that Baz is going to be a little safer. Shaman at 48 is just absurd, guys. This can't happen. His sinker ICR was through the roof, even though he was spotting it well. I know all the arm angle changes. He kept going up. Change. Oh, sorry. As he, right? He changed his arm angle massively as it kept going on. And yeah, no, down. And it's just not going to stick. It's a rhythm thing. It's not going to stick. Stop doing this. We have Seth Lugo. Seth Lugo is cool, and I'm so proud of everybody for only drafting me at 49 because they know that it was really a curveball, and he has all these pitches. Everything is a set up the curveball. He got into really good rhythm and stuff, and that's great. But he is not this elite guy. He's a solid one that's going to help every team, but he's not this like, oh no, he's my ace again. Brandon Pfaadt, I think I see a lot of people high on Brandon Pfaadt. He needs something. He's still missing another pitch. I don't know why really at 50. He's a guy when he has amazing command, it works, but otherwise, yeah, he doesn't have anything against lefties because the sweeper is his best pitch, and he needs a cutter or something else. The 4-seamer is not the destroyer of worlds that he needs it to be. Okay, I need a break for a second, so we're going to pause this for a moment. No, we're not. We're just going to go. That's fine. All right, guys. Enjoy PitchCon. Donate. Please. All right, I can do this. I'll be fine. All right. Here we go. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Christopher Sanchez, really bad against righties with that sinker. He did go away from it this year, which is much better to mask the changeup, which is great, but still gets hit really, really hard. Now, I love the fact that he also moved from outside to inside against lefties with that sinker, and it was much better. Thank you so much. But 20% K rate last year, and I think a lot of people are kind of overlooking that. I don't think that he is a 25% K rate guy. I think he is a changeup and earn grounders kind of guy, which is good, but it's not game changing. Taj Bradley, very fun one. And I actually didn't give him enough credit initially that his cutter got better last year. And he really got it more down in glove side than he had in the past, which means a little bit about, hey, this might be a consistent offering for him. The splitter and the four seam were really good together initially, and then they went apart. The cutter did change it. I am more encouraged about Taj Bradley. However, moving to George Steinbrenner Field means that I'm probably not going to have him this high. Zach Eflin is fine. He's fine. He's a Holly. He had this amazing season before with the Rays. And of course, it got worse. It was him squeezing everything out and then out of his stuff. And then with the Orioles, it was fine. He's fine. Okay, cool. The cutter isn't what it used to be. It's really just like the curveball that is leading everything in sinker placement. Mackenzie Gore, this is an interesting one. He's at 54 and everyone believes it. I don't trust the Nationals. I maybe that offense is going to be good this year because of all the prospects. I hope so. I don't trust their defense behind him. I also don't trust the pitching staff to really help him figure out the everything that he's doing. I know Shalon Doolittle is there, which is great. Four-seamer isn't getting as high up as it can, and really he's just inconsistent with those secondaries. Now, it's totally possible that Mackenzie Gore can get better with the secondaries and also regain the velocity they lost in the second half and be 97 and sit there. And it'll be those games of just like, oh my gosh, dominance, but then it's just gone. And it was really gone in that second half. So I think this might be a hipster situation instead of that growth, but it is a flyer. But the thing is, if you draft him and it doesn't look good, you got to get rid of him. Luis Heel, I like because the Yankees are going to lean in on him. He does need to get better command. That's the thing. He just needs better command of his entire arsenal. The four-seamer, slider, and changeup. I think the vert got worse also as the season went on. I'm not that encouraged. If he's going at 55, I'm probably not going to go into, but he's someone I certainly want to draft and see how it goes. Nick Pivetta, way too high here. We don't even know where he is right now. And he's always going to allow damage because his arm angle is so vastly different between sweepers and four-seamers against right-handers. That's why his four-seamers way better against lefties, because he goes over the top with the curveball and it's harder to pick up, even though it's opposite-handed. So, yeah, I don't want to do this. He's just always going to be this problem. No, thank you. Nathan Eovaldi, much safer. Look, the dude's did really well at 96 miles per hour last year, embraced the splitter a lot more. And his cutters, four-seamer were good and productive. It's on the Rangers. It's going to be good. I dig that one. Spencer Arrighetti, I am so in on. I've come around on this. I trust that Arrighetti's making the tweaks that he needs to do in that second half far better than he was earlier on. The flat four-seamer is good. The breadth of arsenal, multiple swing strike rate pitches. The Houston Astros, I think, good situation. I am going to be aggressively in on the Pasta Pirate. You have Tanner Houck. I'm out on this one. He had really good splitter feel in the first half, and then he lost it completely. That really messed everything up. And then the slider was bad too. And it's just too much of a, like, is it there? Is it not? Is it there? Is it not? Maybe it's very good out of the gate. That's nice, but you don't know yet. Jose Barrios, oh man, the great undulator. It's so funny that he had such a bad game to end the year that he still made it to that 360 ERA threshold. It was 338 before. I'm sorry, above 350. It was 338. He had one game to finally be underneath and change the terms. And no, he's always the same thing. Curveball got better last year a little bit, and four-seamer and sinker combination is really what it is. But I don't want to touch Jose Barrios. I think he's too much of a Toby. You have Yu Darvish, who actually is very. I think it's amazing that we forget about Yu Darvish, who was so good, and then of course he was gone. He had a personal matter to deal with for a while, and it was a bad. I feel bad for him for what he needs to go through. I think he's still going to be productive when you have him. I think you're going to like that you have him on your team. And it's something to be said that drafting a guy that you want to have on your team is a very good thing to do. Bowden Francis, his four-seamer overperformed. I don't know why. It was such low ICR marks. I can't put my finger on it, and it drives me up the wall. I don't believe that it's going to stick again. I just think it was a weird thing. The splitter was not a difference maker. It was a bad pitch for him. No, I don't think that adding the splitter really made batters change it. I'm not touching Bowden Francis. Brandon Woodruff, hi, he exists, and he's supposed to be healthy and good to go. Why wouldn't you go for this? This is confusing. Maybe this is an easy decision. Do this. Clark Schmidt, I think is a very solid Toby, if not better, possible Holly. He improved on the cutter last year, and that's a really cool thing. I think there isn't much more to get, though. Without a four-seamer that is really good or a sinker that's really good, you are going to have those questionable games, and that's not for me. Ronel Blanco, I think we go after this. I think that we can make a quick drop if it's not working out early, but just see if the changeup is there. Is the slider still good? You know, is he not? Is he avoiding the zone well with his fastball? Like, that's what you do. If not, we move on. Drew Rasmussen, same thing. Is he in the rotation? Great. Then we start him. Then we add him. I mean, love it. If he's not, then we drop him. Having quick decisions are so important at this point in the draft. Guys that are value or they're not. Not like this middling, we don't know value. Go get Drew Rasmussen. It's awesome. He's a great cutter, slider, fastball guy. Gavin Williams, my gosh, 67? Man, Gavin Williams, amazing extension, four-seamer that learned a cutter last year. And I think that's an amazing decision for him. I think he's going to be so good. Had a season riddled by injuries, was ranked higher last year. And the only pushback was that the injury thing happened, and then it just came worse. Go get Gavin Williams, guys. He is open for 6 innings. It's going to be great. Jeffrey Springs, very safe, I think, with the Athletics. You're going to let him run. Amazing changeup and four-seamer. I don't like him as a human, but I like him as a pitcher of someone who puts his four-seamer upstairs effectively, even though it's a bad ICR. It does set up the changeup really well. It had a better location with the slider last year. Hopefully it's going to stay there. Jesus Luzardo is actually a good 15-teamer, but not really a good 12-teamer. He's going to be more volatile, where his four-seamer is bad, but he locates it well. Like, such bad extension. And when he gets his changeup and slider over the plate as well, it just gets crushed. But when he locates in a game, those things are big swing miss pitches. I think he's too volatile, honestly, and I don't really want to go for he's going to be a hipster for your teams. Nick Lodolo has potential. It is in Cincinnati. If he gets his changeup going, he's going to be great. I don't like the fact that his four-seamer comes and goes, and his breaking pitch, the curveball, is always kind of there, but he is a little more volatile in injury history and everything like that. It's just too much headache. Walker Buehler, I think, honestly, just take a chance and see what happens. See if he gets the velocity back. See if the changes with the Red Sox work. And I would go for this. I would see, they want to have him every 5 days. He's going to get wins at the very least. He can get volume. I think he should be a lower whip guy. Strikeouts might not be there. I think the velocity we saw in the playoffs will come down because, let's be honest, those guys are all on heavy pain meds, and they pitch harder and throw harder. Ranger Suarez, stop doing this, please, for love. Gosh, this. He gets into a rhythm at some points in seasons. Fortunately for everybody, it was the beginning of the season last year. Then, of course, it fell off. Okay. Reese Olson, I think the slider and the changeup are both great. He needs something else. The sinker and the four-seamer are not very good. So against left-handers, what is that pitch that you're going to throw? The sinker can be very good inside to right-handers. He needs to do a little bit more. Against lefties, he needs something else and needs to avoid the plate with those. If the changeup and slider can both be there for lefties, he can mask it like a gold Cleveland Guardians pitcher. But I think there's a lot of upside to like about Reese Olson. I think he will benefit you, which means I'm going to be higher than this. Michael Wacha, better in deeper leagues. He's fine. He's a Toby and a 12-teamer. You know what he does. He has a really good changeup, and that's it. It's whatever. Nestor Cortez, I'm curious to see how he does in Milwaukee. I don't quite believe that he's going to soar there, but it is a situation where his cutter, if he gets in a good feel, if the slider's there, if the four-seamers, it might be something where he's stress-free and knows what he's going to do. I think that if he falls to the back end of drafts, you just might want to take a chance on it and go with it. Cutter Crawford, I kind of want to avoid. I think he's not a guy that has that signature pitch. It was becoming the eponymous cutter by the end of the year, but I think he's four-seamer, despite having all that vert. It's actually in the zone of where batters expect it based on his arm angle and release point. So it's not as good as you want it to be. And it's just a little too much question. Also, is he in the rotation? I don't know. Okay, we have Jackson Jobe. Oh, man, Jackson Jobe and Kumar Rocker and Bubba Chandler, Noah Schultz. Okay, this is an ADP, all right? Jackson Jobe, yeah, you get him. If he's in the rotation, awesome. He is not Paul Skeens. I thought he was last year, but his extension is too low. It's at 6 feet, which is, I want it to be at 7 feet. I thought it was higher than that. Still, I'm really curious how the Tigers are going to use him. I don't know if they're going to bring him into the rotation out of camp. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, Jackson Jobe should be on your radar. Kumar Rocker, I don't know if I'm going to go after. It's a full rotation right now. Maybe John Gray's out of the rotation. That does open the door for Kumar Rocker. He has four-seamer slider that had way better command than I expected in his few starts in Texas last year. It's a four-seamer that is not a good overall shape and everything, but he is a very big extension velocity guy, which is cool. Slider spots are great as well. If he has a third option that I really like, he's going to soar there. Bubba Chandler is a command-focused one. It's not the most elite four-seamer. A lot of guys are saying that it is. I think it's more based on location. It's not really the shape and everything that's great. It's good velocity, but he has a really good breaking ball as well there. And Bubba Chandler, if he gets an opportunity, you want to be drafting him for your teams. So, I mean, these are the three to me that are like the ones you really want to focus on in the spring. Bubba Chandler, I think, is higher than Kumar Rocker. And Jackson Jobe is the best one of the lot. And Noah Schultz, if he does, great. He's a lefty with the White Sox who's just absurdly good. But, I mean, just know that. That's all that matters. He's not going to start camp out of the team, so you don't need to do this. Yeah, this is an ADP. I just want to talk about his prospects, a young and McRookie. So like Andrew Painter, I'm not going for that because he's going to come up in July. Sean Burke is a guy that I'm really intrigued by with the White Sox with a really good four-seamer and two good breaking balls, but don't go for it because it's the White Sox, and it's just something we see if it goes on. AJ Smith-Shawver maybe at some point, but I don't think the Atlanta's going to do the same with Hurston Woodruff. No, thank you. Jack Leiter has a really good shaped four-seamer. The command isn't very good, and he's not consistent up with the slider yet. I really hope he gets there. Quinn Matthews is a guy from the left side. It's someone to monitor in the spring. I don't really think he actually has that overwhelming total arsenal to make a massive impact. And Brandon Spout with the Mets, maybe we'll see him, but not out of the gate. So really don't worry about Brandon Spout right now. And we're going to go back to the NBC ADP. I've got 10 minutes left. I can do this. I got this. 30 seconds each. Mitch Keller. I think that Mitch Keller is weird and it's annoying. I'm so sorry, but his four-seamer doesn't get whiffs. When the best times that Mitch Keller succeeds is when he has his cutter, his four-seamer, and his sinker all working in tandem. And then his breaking balls, which should be really good. He just doesn't really, he's just so annoying. Don't do it. Merrill Kelly, I hope that the changeup gets those whiffs. Four-seamer up as well. I mean, he was spotting well. He was doing the Merrill Kelly thing by the end of the year, and then the injury happened. It's a good situation in Arizona. He's fine. He's a Toby. Okay. Matthew Boyd is actually very intriguing because he has changeup and slider now. And the changeup was really good, but the slider has taken a step back a bit. And changeups from lefties need to be elite. It can be elite. I don't like the four-seamer, though. He goes upstairs with it. It does set up the changeup and the slider, yes, but it's not a pitch that generally should be located upstairs. I'm very curious how he develops in Chicago. What is the plan? Are they going to figure something else out with this? He could be a huge value. As he should get strikeouts and be able to go 6 innings constantly. Luis Severino, four-seamer, sinker, sweeper. That worked better than I expected last year. And with the Athletics going to Sacramento, weird team situation. I don't want to deal with it. David Festa, good extension prospect. I know he wasn't in the other ones, but he might actually be in the Twins rotation out of the gate. I hope he is. She should be Simeon Woods Richardson. And the thing about Festa is that I don't know if the command is quite there with all three of them yet. A four-seamer, slider, and a changeup are what it will be. It could work. It could work out really well. I just have my questions of if he's able to spot it and be efficient enough, really. But the slider and changeup do get enough whiffs, and the four-seamer extension is really good. Clay Holmes. I think Clay Holmes is going to work. I think this is a good 15-teamer move because him as a pitcher doesn't really work for relief. It does work for starters. You are a sinker baller, an extreme sinker baller that should get efficient outs. It doesn't work in the short sample size because if you have those spikes of where all those balls find hits, then it's going to be bad as a reliever. But when you go 5-6 innings instead of 1 inning or 3 innings a week, that works. You have 2 swing strike rate pitches as well. I think we're going to like Clay Holmes, guys. And that should be a good offense supporting an Elvis Soto there. Oh my gosh. You have Brian Bayo. Brian Bayo went through his sinker, his cutter, or slider, and his changeup, and didn't know which one was the good one. Like he just couldn't figure out what was working for any of them at the same time last year, and it was really frustrating. I can see a guy that can really work over time, but the fact that the sinker isn't just this amazing overall pitch, and he doesn't just have that de facto like, okay, I'm going to just get you out with this. Maybe it's a changeup sometimes, maybe it's a slider sometimes. It's just too hazy of a thing. It's just not quite enough. We have injured studs, by the way. We've got like Spencer Strider and Lucas Giolito and Yuri Perez. Lucas Giolito is supposed to be healthy. He was even saying, like, I see these reports that like I'm not going to be back till July. I'm like ready to go. I'm going to be there in spring. What? I'm taking Lucas Giolito. Yeah, please. It's the best situation he's been in a while. And I think there's a lot of mental things that made him really bad for 2 years. And I understand that like he was not a good pitcher for you for a bit, But no, Lucas Giolito should absolutely help your teams. Yuri Perez is a guy for midseason. Honestly, you should just draft Yuri Perez at the point where you are drafting guys that you don't know if they're going to get value from. So that's actually around like SP 55 or 60. Why? Because you will get value out of Yuri Perez when he does start. And to get guys that will give you value is so valuable. And Spencer Strider, I'm still trying to figure out exactly where to rank him. It is so difficult because obviously the impact of him is massive. And the fact that you get a roster spot early, I really like. I love the fact that you get the roster spot early in the season because those are the most valuable ones. The ones in April are so important, and then you get an ace later on. So yeah, I might actually just be drafting Spencer Strider like my top 20, which is crazy, but maybe I should just treat him like DeGrom. I'm struggling with this one. I think Spencer Strider though should be a target in your 12 teamers. Cody Bradford, by the way, great Toby, great extension, 4-seamer upstairs, changeup goes down. He needs more than that. The 4-seamer, when it leaked down, it gets hit so hard. And against lefties, he really needs to work on the slider a little bit, but a really good changeup, excellent extension. There is opportunity for more here with Cody Bradford. Very sneaky Toby for your 12 teamers and 15 teamers. Tobias Myers, he was really good at limiting hard contact. He has this very interesting 4-seamer. He mixes it with a lot of pitches. He throws a lot of strikes. I think this went under the radar a little bit too much last year. And I think a lot of guys are going to get good value here at 88 with Tobias Myers, especially 15 teamers. They're not going to drop him the entire year. It is not as exciting with upside. However, we could very much see him add something. I think Tobias Myers should be one of those flyers that you do take. Eric Fetty, come on. Really, guys, is at 89? No, he got so much worse with the Cardinals. Like, just don't touch Eric Fetty. That's all I'm going to say from this. Just don't touch Eric Fetty. DJ here is a big popular choice for a breakout. I'm not in. I think the 4-seamer overperformed last year, and the changeup was in and out. The other stuff, the slider isn't there. And so against lefties, he still is like, okay, are you going to be right? Is the changeup going to be consistent enough against right-handers? Is that going to have the same swing strike rate? It's the Nationals as well. I think you're going to have a hipster, a guy that goes, headache-inducing pitcher stifling the entire roster in your 12 teamers. I think it's going to be a little bit frustrating. Grant Holmes, the real estate broker. I love him. 2 amazing swinging strike rate pitches with a slider and the curveball. A fastball that he locates super well. It is on Atlanta. He has a rotation spot as of right now. I mean, he's going to be stretched out. It's going to be great. Like, what more do you want? It's going to be like a 25% K rate with a sub 4 ERA with like a 115 to 120 whip with a, I don't know, 25% K rate. This is great. You want Grant Holmes, guys. Frankie Montas increases velocity, which is kind of cool. He's not with the Mets. He's going to frustrate you. Okay. If you're looking for just pure volume, then fine. But like, don't go after Frankie Montas. You can do so much better. Nick Martinez, is he actually going to start? I think I really, really, really let him start. His changeup focus was much better. He has moments where he's spotting everything well, but his fastballs are just so bad. And that's really the problem. And I just don't want to deal with it. I'm so sorry. I wish him the best, though. He's pretty cool. Chris Bubich is a very fun flyer because the Royals do need that starter now. Brady Singer is gone. They really haven't replaced. So it's 3 guys, of course, with Lugo, Waka, and Reagans, and I guess Bubich. And the thing is, Bubich has a lot of extension, pushed up to 93 on the fastball. Now, if it's down to 91, is it going to be as effective? The changeup was also improving a bit, very effective against right-handers. There's something to like here. A lefty with a good changeup that gets down with the lead extension, that can work. So definitely monitor Chris Bubich. Brady Singer going to Cincinnati. I have no interest for this. I understand the idea. I mean, actually, I will mention he is a ground ball guy. So those that want to say that, his home run fly ball rate so bad, and what do? You stick him in Cincinnati. That's because he allows grounders. So it doesn't mean that he's, that's just the fly balls he allows, and those are fine. Those are home runs in Kansas City. They're the same ones in Cincinnati. So it's not really a big change there, but he's always the same guy. And remember, even last year, y'all were like, oh man, Brady Singer's new. Oh my gosh, he's so much better. No, he's not. He's the same guy since 2021. Sinker slider. Okay, I'm done. Chris Bassett, I hope him the best. It just got a lot worse with the sinker. And the cutter needs to step up a little bit more against lefties. That's really it. He's a cult strike guy against righties with it. You'll still have those things, but everything's kind of going the wrong way, and I just don't want to go this. You'll find a Chris Bassett elsewhere. Same thing with Justin Verlander. It could be a good situation for him in San Francisco, but let's be honest, it's got to hit more and more over time. Same with Max Scherzer. I think Max Scherzer at least has a little bit more of a ceiling at this point in his career with strikeouts. Wherever he signs, I think that he might be interesting and be at least helpful early on. Justin Verlander, sure, take a chance on it, but understand that the slider is just not the potable pitch it used to be. 4-seamer and curve are just not it. Jose Soriano is actually really cool. Injuries are obviously a thing. Fine. He throws hard sinkers and it's really nice curveball, high CSW curveball. And that's it. If he does find something else to add to this, he can actually be like a very dependable 6-inning guy. Right now, he's kind of a streamer, Toby, for your 12 teamers. You have Reed Detmers. Hi, every single year, you get all this hype in the spring. And this year, he actually had all this vert to his four-seamer and also had that slider getting whiffs. And then it disappeared. And so he went to the minors, as he always does, came back, had some success by the end. And sometimes the changeup is there too. Yeah, we're not going to fall for this again. All right. I want to buy into it. I really do. I still think the four-seamer, even with that added vert, is still not very good. His slider needs to be better and more consistent. The changeup needs to be a big thing. There are too many ifs and buts, and it's on the Angels. No, thank you. And the Rockies exist. All right. Chase DeLander does exist. I do not care. Yes, maybe he is the one that can pierce the veil or pierce the whole shroud of cores that holds them down. Not shroud, whatever. You understand what I mean? The weight. He's really good. It's cores. Can't do it. And who knows when that shows up. There's no reason to stash that. All right. There are more for the last minute here. Okay. Ryan Weathers, really interesting stuff here. Great, really good fastball with a changeup and slider, and I think that's going to be really interesting to monitor. Ryan Nelson, really good fastball that had a good ICR, but is he going to get that cutter that we had last year? I really hope so. It had so much success, just like Bowden Francis, but no one cared about Ryan Nelson for some reason. Edward Cabrera would definitely take him as a late flyer. Why? Because if he actually puts it together and throws more sliders, oh my gosh, then he's amazing. You have Bobby Miller. Hi, Bobby Miller. He's out of the rotation. He's in the rotation. There will be an injury before the season starts. He'll be in the rotation somewhere. Maybe they trade him. I think his stuff is just way too good, and he's going to be great. Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, also there. Hi. Pay attention to them because of the rotation. Oh my gosh. Ben Brown, if he adds a cutter, he can be absolutely elite. Tristan McKenzie, if he's healthy. Oh my gosh. And there are so many others that you could be taking in your drafts that you should. So go take mistakes. Take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. It's going to be a fun year. Thank you all.